Next to me is the 812 Superfast, the successor to the Ferrari F12. With more power, revised steering, a beautiful exhaust note, and a revised exterior appearance, the 812 is absolutely wonderful. That being said, there are 5 features and aspects of the 812 that differentiate this from anything else on the road, some of which will absolutely shock you. But before we do that, let's address the name. The 8 in 812 comes from 800 cavalli vapore, or 800 Italian horsepower. In US horsepower, it's a little bit less than that, which we will talk about, but that's where the 8 comes from. 12, the fact that the 812 Superfast has 12 cylinders. And while the Superfast is an accurate adjective to describe the 812, it's actually a nod back to the 1964 Ferrari Superfast Coupe. So there you have it. Let's dive in to the 5 insane features of the 812 Superfast. First up is the fact that the 812 Superfast is actually quite practical. Now, the words V12 supercar and practical are pretty much never used in the same sentence. But to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, let's first take a look at the storage capacity in the boot of the 812 Superfast. Because we have the V12 mounted in the front, that means there's ample space in the rear for luggage, although no manufacturer has gotten it quite right like they have with the 812 Superfast. So we'll go ahead and pop the trunk here. It opens up as one massive sheet of glass with the integrated rear spoiler in kind of a hatchback-like fashion to reveal 11.3 cubic feet of storage. That's more than twice the amount of its Italian rival. We've got this adjustable partition here that can be opened up to more easily store luggage, but let me show you how much you can actually fit in here. I've brought a whole bunch of bags like we were gonna go on a weekend trip, or maybe even longer than that. So I've got 2 backpacks here. Behind the seats, there's actually this parcel shelf that's finished in beautiful carbon fiber and leather with gorgeous leather straps. You can, of course, get Ferrari's version of luggage, but I've got my own here to show you. So we can go ahead and place one bag here and the other bag right here. You could actually probably fit 2 more backpacks in there. Now we've got 3 pieces of carry-on luggage. Go ahead and prop this up. That can all fit inside the trunk of the 812 Superfast. I mean, that is unbelievable. And that means you can use your 812 a lot more. Going on long road trips, you can actually store kind of a ridiculous amount of clothes and amenities. You can pick people up from the airport without worrying how big their bag is. You can go grocery shopping with this, not worrying about how much groceries you're going to pick up. You could almost probably go golfing. Finally, a supercar where you're not limited by what you can put in the trunk. The interior of the 812 Superfast is incredibly roomy. Even if you're well above 6 feet tall, you'll have ample headroom, legroom, as well as shoulder room. Oftentimes in supercars, you feel like you're sitting a little bit too close to your passenger. Not the case in the 812. It feels airy and open in the cabin, and I love the fact how easy it is to reach that rear parcel shelf in case you have stored bags right behind you. There are 8 seat options to choose from, anything from standard seats to Daytona seats to carbon fiber racing buckets. These are those racing buckets, and despite the fact that they hold you in place incredibly well when you're going quickly around turns, they're also really, really comfortable. This seems to be something that no manufacturer can master, and that is making a very comfortable sport bucket seat. And Ferrari has done an exceptional job with that. Obviously, the materials, the fit and finish of the interior is mesmerizing. We've got Alcantara everywhere, all over the headliner, sumptuous leather, this beautiful contrasted yellow stitching, carbon fiber throughout. The steering wheel feels great in your hands. You expect all that in a Ferrari, but what you don't expect is how natural and comfortable you feel behind the driver's seat. And the best part is, none of this practicality takes away from the driving experience, which we'll talk more about when we get this out on the road. Ferrari has made sure that its graphics are fantastic as well. The backup camera is phenomenal, very easy to see where you're going in parking lots. But what I truly like is the fact that if you're in first gear at slow speeds and you click this little camera button to the right of the steering wheel, you actually have a frontal camera. I don't know why supercar companies don't do this, but that way you're not going to chunk your front bumper onto a curb when you're parking it. It also has a variety of different modes and angles so you can see all the way around the car and protect it. Now, this is one of my favorite options on any modern day Ferrari, and it actually has some practical elements to it as well, and that is the passenger display. Now, it has cool functionality in terms of if you click on the performance setting, you can see the RPM, the gear, as well as the miles per hour that the car is traveling at. That's fun and a little bit gimmicky, but it also has some practical features as well. Let's say you want to navigate to a new destination. Well, the passenger can simply click on Navi, enter a destination from their side, and push it over to the driver's screen so the driver can pay attention while they are behind the wheel and not focus on typing in a destination. The same thing is true for music. And then, of course, if you want to test and make sure they've got traction control, you can go onto the VDA setting and see all of the settings that the driver has configured in the car. And it looks like right now we're in race mode. The next insane feature of the 812 Superfast is its powertrain. Not once when driving the F12 did I think, man, this could use some extra horsepower. Well, Ferrari disagreed with me, and I'm kind of glad that they did. Under the hood is a 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12 that makes 789 horsepower and 530 pound-feet of torque. That actually makes this the most powerful naturally aspirated production car in existence. Think about that for a moment. The naturally aspirated V12 is mated to a 7-speed double-clutch transmission that's as smooth as butter when cruising around and as crisp as can be when you're in race mode. Not only is it incredibly powerful, the engine, it's also just a sight to see. Its visuals, this beautiful carbon fiber intakes on the left and the right, and the gorgeous red intake plenum. It's just something you have to see in person to truly understand. Now, in order to get more power out of this V12, Ferrari says there are 75% new parts as compared to the F12. We've got new pistons, a new crankshaft, and a world production vehicle first, a high-pressure fuel system that's capable of pushing fuel at up to 5,000 PSI into the engine. The next insane feature of the 812 Superfast is its aerodynamic efficiency. In fact, this is the most aerodynamically efficient Ferrari V12 ever created. They've done a fantastic job of mixing aesthetics with function all at the same time. Check out some of the aerodynamic elements in the front fascia that are almost hiding from plain sight. For one, massive amounts of airflow go through the front large grille to cool the radiators, feed air into the engine bay, but then that air actually travels upwards and helps the hot air extract out from these hood vents and around the side of the body to aid in cooling as well as downforce. Now, come down here, we've got a series of vents. The upper vent is for brake cooling, but the lower vent actually channels air underneath to the underbody of the car to reduce drag. And then at speeds of 112 miles an hour, these elastically preloaded flaps actually pop downwards to allow even more airflow downwards, reducing drag further. We've also got these turning vanes to the side to allow airflow to go along the side of the body, reducing drag more. But that's not all in the front of the 812. Additionally, in the front, we have these vents here on the insides of the headlights. They actually allow airflow to pass through here, then through the wheel wells and out these channels at the side of the 812 to add additional downforce. How cool is that? And of course, we have these vents here, which feed airflow in here and out the back for more downforce as well. No need for giant wings and splitters and obnoxious functions to produce downforce. It all seamlessly flows into the bodywork, almost like magic. Now let's check out the back of the 812. The rear of the 812 Superfast is as aggressive and menacing as it is aerodynamically efficient. The rear spoiler is beautifully integrated into the deck lid, as I showed you with its Practicality, and it's 30 millimeters taller than that on the F12. It's actually the same height as the F12 TDF, the more track performance oriented version. Because we have this redesigned new spoiler, we had to make some changes to the rear diffuser as well. It sits beautifully between these incredible quad tailpipes that release some of the most amazing noises you have ever heard in the automotive world. Trust me, there will be plenty of that later. The rear diffuser produces massive amounts of downforce. It's carbon fiber. It looks great, but it hides something really cool in the form of 3 deployable flaps. At low speeds, the flaps are tucked up flush with the rear diffuser to create maximum downforce. But at high speeds, the flaps can deploy at up to 17 degrees in order to virtually stall out the rear diffuser and reduce drag. How cool is that? All right, I'd say it's just about time to drive the 812 Superfast. Let's go. The next incredible feature of the 812 Superfast is its steering feel. Ferrari has long been known for incredibly engaging driver's cars, and particularly very precise steering with tremendous feedback. Now, it was a scary thing when the 812 became the first Ferrari ever to have electronically power assisted steering. It was no longer hydraulic. In traditional senses, this can mean less feedback, less responsiveness, and a bit of a disconnection from the driver and the road. But I'm pleased to report that in the Ferrari 812 Superfast case, that couldn't be further from the truth. And it actually allows some pretty fancy things that Ferrari has done with the electronic power assisted steering that couldn't have been done with the hydraulic setup. Now, given the fact that it weighs 3,800 pounds, it's not the lightest sports car in the world. It's kind of positioned more like a GT cruiser, yet when you get behind the wheel of it, you feel the steering, you feel the acceleration, the responsiveness, and how nimble it is. It actually is a full-fledged sports car. It just happens to have the practicality and the second dual nature, the comfort and the storage space of a GT car. So it feels very, very light on its feet. I'm in sport mode right now. We'll kick it up to race. The steering is nice and light, but the front wheels feel like they want to turn in instantly. The responsiveness is tremendous. And part of this is due to the fact that we have rear wheel steering. That's right, the rear wheels can actually turn in the opposite direction of the front. At low speeds, they do that. They turn in the opposite direction of the fronts to increase the car's agility, effectively shortening the wheelbase. Then at high speeds, they turn in the same direction as the front wheels, effectively enhancing the wheelbase and enhancing stability at high speeds. The result is a car that feels tremendous through tight turns, but also feels very, very stable at high speed. Now, what do I mean by that there's some fancy things that Ferrari had done because it was electronically power assisted? In the 488 review I did a couple months prior, I talked about Ferrari's side slip control, effectively a way for you to push the limits of your driving capabilities in a Ferrari, get a bit of slip and actually a bit of a drift and be under control at the same time. Well, Ferrari has done something very cool, and that is communicate between the electronic power assisted steering and the side slip control. What that allows between that communication is another level of feedback never seen before. Ferrari can actually limit torque in order to give a signal to the driver that there's impending understeer or oversteer. That's right, the steering wheel is communicating with you electronically, letting you know ahead of time that the car is about to understeer or oversteer. That combined with the traction control, F1 traction control, honestly makes you feel incredibly comfortable behind the wheel of the 812. You'd think in a 789 horsepower car that's rear wheel drive, it would be absolutely terrifying, especially at high speeds through twisty turns. You give it a little bit too much gas, you're worried you're going to spin out entirely. It's just not the case. If you leave it in sport mode, it's actually really easy to drive. It makes you feel like a champion. Obviously, if you turn traction control all the way off, this thing is a monster, a total handful, and demands basically a professional driver. Wow, beautiful GT3 RS just passed. But in sport mode and race mode, you can really get a lot of performance out of this car without being a professional, and that's an awesome thing. It just feels so agile and ready to go, which for a car that's so comfortable inside with so much space, I mean, these seats provide a tremendous amount of support, but they are so comfortable. It's actually staggering. This Ferrari is 2 cars in one, a true full-fledged sports car and a GT car at the same time, which is a really hard thing to do. We've also got magneto-iriological dampers, which means the car rides over bumps very well. We've got 2 different settings, normal mode and bumpy road mode. When you put it in bumpy road mode, it absolutely glides over some pretty jarring obstacles, which is unbelievable. And then through the corners, despite the chassis feeling really compliant, we've got basically no body roll whatsoever. And lastly, that brings us to the 5th insane feature of the 812 Superfast, and that is the sound. We've got a 6.5-liter V12 that revs all the way up to 9,000 RPM. So I think it's time for you guys to hear it. All right, so I'm gonna show you what it sounds like revving from a standstill, and then we're gonna give it some gas on the back road and really get a feel for that V12. Oh, that is epic. Okay, time to roll. Oh my God. It absolutely shrieks. Oh my God, the noises it makes on downshifts. Oh, it sounds so brilliant. Woo! Oh my gosh. It really doesn't get much better than that. A naturally aspirated V12, ladies and gentlemen. And for a stock car, it actually is really loud. It penetrates into the cabin phenomenally well. Oh, that is so nice. All right, I'm gonna stop talking and let you listen to it for a little bit. How about that? There you guys have it, 5 insane features of the 812 Superfast. It sounds absolutely incredible. The steering feel is phenomenal. The engine is a work of art. It's aerodynamically efficient and it's practical all at the same time. This is truly a remarkable machine. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.